February the 18th of 2016.
Great, thank you. So, members of the jury, you will now hear the video deposition of Mr. Brett Goldenberg, Goldenberg. He was sworn under oath at the time. The deposition was February 18th, 2016. So please consider this testimony and its other evidence in the case.
Your name, please. Brett Goldenberg. January 14th, 1986. Do you solemnly affirm the state of who is your employer? So it's Miami Canada Enterprises.
Apparently, because of the technology used in the deposition, there may be some kind of an echo or delay. It's tough to see.
92191568 Canada Inc. Sorry, excuse me for that. Is that the address or the name of the company? That's the name of the company. And what is it, for short, we just call it Miami Canada? Miami Canada, yeah. What is your title with Miami Canada? So my title is Director of Product Management. And what are your responsibilities as Director of Product Management? So my responsibilities are I manage a team of product managers that implement features into websites. I manage the marketing team as well as a data and analytics team. Does Miami Canada operate a website called Pornhub? No, we provide services to the company that does. What services do you provide? So similar to what I just explained, so product management services, marketing services, data analytics, those are the ones that I'm familiar with. What is Pornhub? So Pornhub is a video sharing platform that specializes in adult content. So by adult content, do you mean pornography? Yes. Can somebody from your responsibilities with Miami Canada that you are familiar with the content on Pornhub? Is that right? I do not directly oversee the content, but I am familiar with it. Can somebody watch pornography for free at Pornhub? Yes. How much pornography can somebody watch for free on Pornhub? As much as they want. Are you familiar with a video that's posted on Pornhub that's titled Kim Kardashian Sex Tape with Ray J? Yes, I am familiar. Is that video posted on Pornhub? Yes. I'd like to go ahead and mark defendant's trial exhibit 574, which is a screenshot from a web page. Would you mind showing the witness defendant's exhibit 574? Oh, yeah. It's a screenshot that at the top says Kim Kardashian sex tape with Pornhub.com. All right, I have it. Are you familiar with this webpage? Yes. What is it? This is a video page, and the video would be Kim Kardashian sex tape with Ray J, as it's titled there. And this is a webpage that is on Pornhub, correct?
Correct.
Is there a video that's posted on this webpage?
It's not visible in the screenshot, but yes, there will be a video there.
So I understand what you're saying. If a person went to this webpage, there would be a video posted on
Correct.
this webpage. What is that video?
So that is the Kim Kardashian sex tape with Richard.
Are you familiar with the video that's posted on this page?
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
How long is the video that's posted on this page?
I don't know the exact length.
Can you approximate?
So what? 5 minutes long.
What is contained on that video?
There would be sexual acts with Kim Kardashian and Richard.
Does the video include graphic sexual content?
Yes.
Does the video show Kim Kardashian performing oral sex?
Yes.
Does the video show Kim Kardashian receiving oral sex?
Yes.
Does the video show Kim Kardashian having sexual intercourse?
Yes.
Is the video in color?
Yes.
Does it include close-up images of Ms. Kardashian's vagina?
I don't know.
Does it include close-up images of Ray J's penis?
Yes.
Does it include close-up images of Ray J and Ms. Kardashian engaging in oral sex?
Yes.
Does it include close-up images of Ray J and Ms. Kardashian during sexual intercourse?
Yes.
How much does Pornhub charge people to watch the video that's posted on the webpage that's marked as defendant's trial exhibit 574?
Nothing.
I'd like to mark as defendant's trial exhibit 272 a video that is approximately 5 minutes long. Mr. Goldberg, you had an opportunity to review the video on defendant's trial exhibit 272.
Yes.
What was on that video?
There were sexual acts between Kim Kardashian and Richard.
Did it appear to be substantially similar to the video that's posted on the webpage that we looked at previously?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Did you notice any differences?
To my knowledge, no.
Looking at the video, does it refresh your recollection of whether there were close-up images of Ms. Kardashian's vagina?
Yes, there were.
There were images
Yes.
of her vagina? Going back to the screenshot of the webpage that's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 574.
Yes.
Looking at that screenshot, there's a line midway through the first page that says views. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
What does views mean on this webpage?
That means how many times the page was loaded.
How many times the webpage was loaded or the video?
On the web page.
I'll represent to you that this screenshot was made on or about March 18th, 2015. How many views of this webpage were there as of that date?
105 million. 771,119.
Do you know how many people actually watched the video?
I don't know how many would be unique views.
Do Do you know how many people of those views would have actually go watch the video?
The full video?
Or any aspect of it?
I don't know the exact amount. Someone could have loaded the page and left without watching it.
Does the video automatically play when the page is loaded?
Yes, it does.
Next to the portion of the web page that says views, right next to it has the word from. Do you see that?
Yes.
And next to the word from it says vivid celebs.
Yes.
See that?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means the username or the channel that uploaded the video.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
So when a video is uploaded to Pornhub, the username is displayed there. If it's official, sorry, if it's an official channel, then it will say the channel name instead, which this case is.
What is the Vivid Celebs official channel?
That would be the channel that Vivid uploads videos to.
So on this page, if I understand what you're saying correctly, does this mean that Vivid Celebs uploaded the video that appears on this webpage?
Yes.
Yes. On the video itself, does Vivid's name appear?
Yes, there's a watermark.
And that watermark appears throughout the video, right?
Right.
Somebody can watch this. Somebody can watch this video on Pornhub's webpage without paying any money, correct?
Yes, correct.
And I think you said MindKey Canada does not operate the website Pornhub, is that correct?
No, we provide service.
Do you know which company operates Pornhub?
MG Free Sites.
If you look underneath the video box, there's a subscribe button.
Yes.
What does that subscribe button do?
So, if you're going to make a free account on Pornhub, you can sign up with email, username, and password, and then you could subscribe to channels or users, and then you'll see future uploads in your screen when you log in.
And does that cost anything to subscribe to user channels?
No.
And then the boxes of videos that are down on the bottom of the page,
Yes.
what are those?
Those are related videos.
And are those related videos that have been posted by the same user?
Some of them could be, but they're not all. I have no way to tell if they're all from that same user.
And what would happen if a visitor clicked on one of those videos down underneath the video box we were talking about?
We would go to another video page like the one we're looking at.
It'd be another video page on Pornhub?
Correct.
Mr. President asked you about the subscribe button.
Yes.
On Defendant's Exhibit 574, you see the subscribe button that he asked you about?
Yes.
Next to that, there's the number. What is that number?
That number is the total subscribers that Vivid Celebs have.
And what is that number on this page?
Oh, sorry. It's 15,099.
And that's the number of subscribers to the Vivid Celeb page on Pornhub?
Correct. The channel, not page. The Vivid Celebs channel.
Mr. President asked you about the videos underneath the Kim Kardashian sex tape.
Yes.
And so on Defendant's Exhibit 574, if somebody were to click on the first video, they would see the Kendrick Wilkinson sex tape. Is that right?
Based on what I see here, that's the title, they would see that. Yes, Tinder will consent exposed sex tape.
What would happen if they pressed the video next to that?
They would be taken to a video titled Tila Tequila Lesbian Sex Tape.
And the one next to that?
Tila Tequila Lesbian Raw Sex Tape.
And there's a video underneath the Tinder Wilkinson sex tape. What would they be taken to if they clicked on that?
I believe you're referring to China's new porn.
And each of those videos could be viewed on the Pornhub website?
Correct.
Could each of those 4 videos that we just discussed be viewed on the Pornhub website?
Yes, as far as my knowledge at the time of the screenshot, yes.
Would anybody have to pay to watch those 4 videos on Pornhub?
No.
And on that screenshot, it also has Montana Fishburne exposed sex tape. Do you see that?
Yep.
Is that the video as well?
Yes. I can see the watermark.
Is that something that's available on Pornhub's website?
Right now, I can't tell you for certain, but at the time of the screenshot, definitely.
And somebody could watch that Montana Fishburne video for free on Pornhub. Is that right?
Correct.
You believe that Vivid has the rights to post a Kim Kardashian video on Pornhub, is that correct?
Yes, I mean, to my knowledge, I believe that they would have the rights to post that.
Okay.
We're just going to play a brief clip in the interest of time.
All right, thank you.
Now, Pornhub and Tube8 are those what are known as hosting sites?
I've heard them refer to that in the past, yes.
And if you look, the first exhibit that you were handed should be what number was it? 574. It should be 3 pages. On the 3rd page,
Yep.
you see at the bottom there's a number of links there.
Yep.
Okay, and there's one that says information. There's terms and conditions, privacy policy, DMCA, and 2257. Do you see that?
Yep.
Do you know what those are?
To the best of my knowledge, yeah.
What are
Yeah, what you're referring to are links to our terms and conditions, privacy policy, our DMCA policy, and our 2257 policy. Take it.
they? Are you generally familiar with those terms and conditions and the privacy policy?
I'm generally familiar, yeah, they are large documents.
And you should have, one of the materials that I sent to Madam Court Reporter today was a copy of a page there. It's the terms and conditions. All right, and what I'd like to do is just mark this as Exhibit A to the deposition. I believe you testified that when someone would click on the page that we've been looking at, Exhibit 574, that the video would play automatically. Is that correct?
Only on desktop devices, on mobile and tablet, they won't play automatically. But the page we're looking at is from a desktop device.
The individuals depicted in the video on this page that we've been looking at, Exhibit 574, that's Kim Kardashian and Ray J, correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Do you know whether they consented to their video being used by Vivid?
I don't know.
Do you know whether Pornhub's terms and conditions of use require users to ensure that the participants in videos that they post on the site have consented?
Yes, they do.
Are you familiar with any videos of Terry Bollea being posted on Pornhub?
No, I'm not.
Can you just clarify so it's clear for the record what you meant by own so there's no misunderstanding?
I can assume that Vivid owns that video, but I can't be certain.
Okay. And would the same be true for the Kim Kardashian video?
Yeah, I would assume that they would, but I cannot be insensitive.
If I may, Brent, I don't mean to lead the witness, but Shane Brett, are you saying that you believe that Vivid had the right to post the video on Pornhub?
Yeah, I believe so to my best of my knowledge.
Okay. Let me ask that so we're clear for the record and I'll be done. You believe that Vivid has the right to post the Kim Kardashian video on Pornhub, is that correct?
Yes, I mean, to my knowledge, I believe that they would have the rights to post that.
Okay.
Thank you. That concludes that deposition. Mr. Ferry, who would you like to call next?
We would like to call Heather Cole by deposition on January 26, 2015. We might need 1 minute there to correct something.
Okay, thank you. While you do that, so members of the jury, please consider this deposition testimony of Ms. Heather Cole, formerly known as Heather Flynn, when she was sworn under oath January 26, 2015 to be other evidence in this case. You've already seen portions of this, so there may be some duplicate. Okay. Hey.
When did you first meet Bubba Flynn?
2002.
And when did you marry Bubba Flynn?
January 2007.
And you eventually got divorced?
Correct.
And when was that?
3.5 years ago.
Do you recall the year?
I think 2012.
Do you recall when you first met Terry Galea?
Yes.
And when was that?
At a 4th of July celebration.
Do you recall the year? Or approximately?
Within 2 years of each other.
So maybe 2004 you think?
Possibly.
How would you describe your relationship with Terry Galea during the first, say, 2 years that you knew him?
He was Bubba's best friend.
And approximately how many times would you see him in a given year, you estimate? In the time frame, it's 2004 to 2006, somewhere around there.
To the best of my knowledge, maybe 5 or less times a year.
At the time prior to your marriage, did you and Bubba Flynn have sexual relations with people other than you and Bubba Flynn?
Occasionally.
Do you refer to that as an open relationship or another term?
For the purpose of this, I can refer to it as an open relationship.
And then when you were married to Bubba Flynn, did you have an open marriage in the same context that I just described?
Yes.
At some point in time, when you knew Mr. Galea, do you recall either yourself or Bubba Flynn raised an issue with Terry Galea that possibly you and Mr. Galea would have sexual relations?
I was asked if I would by Mr. Flynn.
And can you describe that conversation?
I don't recall the specific details.
Bubba Flynn asked you and you recall it eventually.
I said I would.
Do you recall Bubba Flynn communicating with Terry Galea to say this should be set up?
I do not.
Do you have any recollection of occasions where Bubba Flynn and Terry Galea spoke and it was discussed that Bubba wanted you and Terry Galea to have sexual relations?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you have an interest in having sexual relations with Terry Galea before it occurred?
No.
Was Bubba's desire?
I can't answer that for him.
Bubba stated that that was his desire.
He asked a question.
Do you recall how many occasions Bubba discussed with you this issue of you having sexual relations with Terry Boulay?
I do not recall.
Can you give me an estimate? Was it more than 5 times?
I would estimate 5 or less.
You eventually had sexual relations with Mr. Boulay.
Yes.
Do you recall the number of the encounters that you had with him?
To the best of my knowledge, I can think of 3 times that I remember.
Do you recall where those sexual encounters occurred
Yes.
and where?
Once at our house when I was married to Mr. Clem. Once at Mr. Belea's house. Once in a hotel room.
Which hotel?
I don't recall the name.
Was it located in the Tampa Bay area?
No.
Where was it located?
Tennessee.
Was the first encounter that you had with Mr. Boulay at your house?
No.
Was it at Mr. Boulay's house?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
What do you recall about that encounter?
And we had sex.
Do you recall any communications before you had sex?
Can you be more specific, please?
Sure. And maybe I'm not asking a fair question. Before you had sex with Terry Boulay for the first time, what communications do you recall with Terry Boulay regarding setting up having sex?
No.
Do you recall any communications with Bubba Clem on that subject?
But I was asked if I would.
What was the second sexual encounter that you recall having with Terry Boulay after his house?
I think it was at the hotel room in Tennessee.
And why was it that you were in Tennessee for an event or something? You were attending?
Bubba was at a wrestling event, and we had gone with Mr. Berlin.
Do you recall any communications that you had with anyone prior to your sexual encounter, the second one in Tennessee, on the subject of having sexual relations with Terry Boulay?
Not that I recall.
And just so we have a clear record, you also do not recall any communications that you had on the subject of having sex with Terry Boulay for the first encounter at his house, is that correct?
Not that I recall.
What do you recall about the sexual encounter in Tennessee?
That I performed a sexual act.
Do you recall anything else?
I was asked to go to Mr. Berlin's room, find my husband, and I did.
Do you recall anything else?
No.
The third encounter that you had with Mr. Boulay then was at your house, is that correct?
To the best of my knowledge.
It was in your bedroom, I assume?
Yes.
Did it happen anywhere else besides your bedroom?
Not that I'm aware of.
What do you recall about communications between you and anyone else related to the third sexual encounter with Terry Balea before you had that sexual encounter?
That Mr. Clem asked me if I would have sex with Terry.
Do you recall what your answer was?
Yes.
Was that your answer, yes?
Yes.
Prior to the third sexual encounter, do you recall any communications that you had with either Mr. Clem or with anyone else regarding having sex with Terry Balea a third time?
No, I do not recall.
What do you recall about the third sexual encounter that you had with Terry Balea?
That we had sex.
Do you recall anything else during the time that you had sex? Okay. Well, let's strike that. Other than the fact that you had sex, do you recall anything else about the third sexual encounter with Terry Balea?
No.
Do you recall any communications that you had with Clem or Terry Balea or anyone else after the third sexual encounter regarding the third sexual encounter?
Yes.
What do you recall?
At some point after the encounter at our house with Mr. Balea, Mr. Clem showed me a videotape of myself and Mr. Balea having sex.
How long did you watch that footage? A few seconds, a few minutes, or the whole thing?
I did not watch it. It was brief.
What was your response to Mr. Clem when he showed you that?
I was upset.
Do you recall what you said to Mr. Clem or what Mr. Clem said to you?
I recall being upset.
Did you have any idea before the sexual encounter happened that it was going to be filmed?
No.
The first time that you learned of the filming of any sexual encounter with Terry Balea was after the third encounter, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever have any communication with Terry Balea regarding sex after the third sexual encounter?
Not that I recall.
You never told Terry Balea that the encounter had been filmed?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, was there only one sexual encounter that you had with Terry Balea that was filmed?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
To the best of your knowledge, did the Clem ever tell Terry Balea that he was filmed having sex with you?
I don't know.
Did you ever have any conversations at all with Terry Balea regarding the subject of filming sex?
No.
first sexual encounter that you had with Mr. Valea at his house, was that in a private bedroom?
Yes.
And was the door closed?
I don't recall.
Was there anyone else who was in the room besides you and Mr. Valea?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you believe it was a private encounter? The first sexual encounter?
Yes.
The second sexual encounter at the hotel room in Tennessee, to your knowledge, it was just you and Mr. Valea in the room?
Correct.
And was it your understanding that it was a private sexual encounter just between you and Mr. Valea?
Yes.
And the third sexual encounter in your bedroom, it was just you and Mr. Valea in the room, correct?
To the best of my knowledge.
And to the best of your knowledge, it was a private sexual encounter between you and Mr. Valea, and no one else was watching and no one was filming, correct?
Can you restate the question, please?
Sure. The third sexual encounter that you had with Mr. Valea, to the best of your knowledge, at the time of the encounter, it was a private encounter between you and Mr. Valea, and to your knowledge, nobody was watching and nobody was filming.
Correct.
After the third sexual encounter, did Mr. Clem inform you that he was the one who filmed you? Well, let me strike that and I'll re-ask the question. I want to be as clear as I can. What do you recall of your conversation with Mr. Clem immediately after the third encounter regarding how it was filmed?
I don't recall of a conversation immediately after the third encounter.
When did the conversation take place that you had with Mr. Clem after the third encounter regarding the filming?
I was shown the video. I immediately asked for it to stop. I don't remember a specific conversation. I do remember being very upset.
Do you recall if you actually destroyed the video?
At a later time, yes.
Let me get a sense of the timing. Approximately how much time took place between the third sexual encounter and when you were shown the video of it?
I don't recall.
What's your best estimate? Was it a day, a week, a month, somewhere in between there?
I would guess several weeks.
Do you recall having any conversations with Bubba Clem regarding that sex video after that first time he showed it to you?
At our mediation and our divorce, there was a discussion where I asked for personal items that had been told to me had been destroyed. I was trying to ensure that they no longer existed. And I was told in mediation that they did not.
Ms. Colt, to your knowledge, was your first encounter with Mr. Balea ever filmed?
Not to my knowledge.
To your knowledge, was the second sexual encounter with Mr. Balea ever filmed?
Not to my knowledge.
At the time of your divorce proceedings, including the mediation, did you have a concern about whether the sex video existed?
Yes.
And did you ask Mr. Clem or anyone on his behalf, which would include his attorneys, if that sex video had been destroyed or was still in existence?
I did my best to protect myself and ensure that anything that had to do with private matters in our marriage had been disposed of.
Were you told that the sex video with Mr. Balea had been destroyed?
I was told that items had been destroyed.
And was the sex video with Mr. Balea part of those items?
I don't know if it had been destroyed. My assumption was that the discussion included that and other items like that.
So as part of your marital dissolution proceeding, it was your understanding that, among other things, the Balea sex video had been destroyed?
It was a discussion. It was not detailed in the marital settlement agreement, but I was under the impression after the discussion that any items such as that had been destroyed.
To the best of your knowledge, did Bubba Clem ever inform Mr. Balea that a sexual encounter that you had with him had been filmed?
I'm not aware of any conversation.
Did you ever have a conversation with Bubba Clem or anyone else regarding the whereabouts of the sex videos?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Clem or anyone else regarding how the sex video is stored, for example, on a disk or on a computer or some other type of device?
When I was shown the encounter, it was on a CD.
Did Mr. Clem ever tell you where you kept that CD?
No.
Did you have an understanding about where you kept that CD?
No.
Do you recall that in the spring of 2012, there were media reports speculating about the existence of a sex video involving you and Mr. Balea?
Yes.
And did you have any conversations with Bubba Clem at that time about the existence of the sex video?
At some time, I'm not sure the date, I was sent an email from Mr. Clinton. The email made reference to a sex video that involved myself and Mr. Balea. I was told in the email that if I had any knowledge about the matter, that I was to contact the assistant district attorney or something of that matter. But I was not given any names or phone numbers. I did respond I said I would be happy to cooperate. Please let me know if you want me to speak with.
Other than that email exchange, do you recall any conversations that you had with Mr. Clem on that issue?
No.
Other than communications with attorneys, do you recall any other conversations that you had with any person regarding reports in the spring of 2012 about possible existence of a sex video?
No.
I assume that you had nothing to do with the distribution or release of a sex video involving you and Mr. Bullet. Well, let me rephrase it because you're confused. Is it correct to say that you had nothing to do with the distribution or release of a sex video involving you and Mr. Bullet?
Yes.
Do you have any knowledge regarding who was involved in releasing the sex video between you and Mr. Balea to media or anyone else?
No.
Did you ever talk to Bubba Clem about who potentially was responsible for the release of the video?
No.
Did you talk to anyone else about who potentially was responsible for the release of the video other than lawyers?
No.
In October of 2012, Gawker.com posted a 1:41 I call it highlight reel, of the sex video. Did you learn of that in October 2012?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Did you see that 1:41 video at Gawker.com?
No.
Do you have any knowledge regarding how Gawker came to possess the sex video?
No.
Do you know if Bubba Clem had anything to do with it?
I don't know.
Did you have anything to do with it?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, Mr. Balea had no idea that there was a camera in the room at the time of your sexual encounter. Is that correct?
Yes.
There was no camera that was visible in the bedroom at the time of the sexual encounter. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware
You didn't see a camera?
of. No.
Do you recall a time after your sexual encounters with Mr. Balea where he lived in a part of your house for a few weeks?
Yes.
Do you recall any discussions that you had with Mr. Balea at the time that he was living in your house?
Yes.
Anything? Okay.
Yes.
What discussions do you recall?
One day I was, I think, making lunch, and I asked Mr. Ray if he would like some, and we discussed how long it had been since he had a home-cooked meal. And he was sad.
Do you recall any other discussions with Mr. Balea at that time that he was living in?
I think I asked him if he would like me to do his laundry once.
At the time that Mr. Balea was living at your house, is it correct that there were no conversations about the sexual encounters that you had had in the past?
There were none.
And there were no communications regarding sex at all? Is that right?
Not with him, no.
There were never any discussions with Mr. Balea at the time that he lived at your house that the encounter that he had had in the past with you and filmed?
There was no discussion.
Just to be ultra clear, you have no knowledge regarding who sent the sex video to Gawker.com or any other third party, correct?
I have no knowledge.
And you have no knowledge why the video was sent to anyone, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any ownership of the video, to your knowledge?
No.
If I remember what you had said earlier, you got married in 2007.
I think
And so you moved in, together, you also started living together sometime 2006.
approximately
Where did you live when y'all lived together?
in his house.
So this was a house that he was already living in and you moved in?
Correct.
Did your daughter move in with you at the same time?
Yes.
Describe your actual wedding to Mr. Klein. The actual wedding day. It was a big wedding, a small wedding.
It was a big wedding. It was in the church that we attended. There was a large reception afterwards.
Was your wedding covered by the press?
I know after the wedding, it was in the newspaper. Prior to the wedding, we were interviewed by a reporter on the impending wedding. There was not media there to film it that I'm aware of.
Were there media personalities who were at the wedding?
What is your definition of a media personality?
Was Howard Stern there?
Yes.
Were other celebrities there?
Yes.
Do you recall some of the folks who were there who were celebrities?
Howard's staff was there. Mr. Hogan was there.
From what I understand, Mr. Clem's radio show can be controversial at times, right?
I think that's a fair assumption.
Does he court controversy?
In my opinion, yes.
Why is that your opinion? I guess what gives you reason to think that he courts controversy?
In the time we were involved in the relationship, there was much controversy with his radio show and his personal life.
Can you give me an example?
He fought with friends. He fought with competing radio stations. He had one that I remember specifically, lawsuit during his stint at Sirius. He discussed it on the air.
Did Mr. Clem have any views about publicity for himself?
Yes.
What were those?
I remember him saying that there's no such thing as bad publicity as long as they spell your name right.
And during the time that y'all were dating and married, was that kind of a creed that he operated on?
In my opinion, yes.
Describe what Mr. Clem is like as a person.
He can be fun, funny, giving, loving. He can be equally manipulative, selfish, intimidating, and hurtful.
Tell me an example of him being intimidating.
He could be very loud. He could be very aggressive in the manner that he talked to someone. If he was angry, he would continuously berate you. Until you did what you wanted. Whether it was in the privacy of your own home or publicly.
How about gave advice?
He was Bubba's sound engineer, technical engineer.
Was Bubba close with him?
I don't know. He did think very highly of Dave Rice.
How does Bubba treat the people who work for him?
I feel that he treats them nicely and can be generous when Bubba is happy. And he is satisfied with how the show is going. I think that he also can be equally as intimidating to them as he can be in his personal relationships.
Do you know of any specific disputes that he had with employees?
I remember a few occasions being at the studio, and he would yell and make fun of and embarrass whoever his staff was that maybe he wasn't happy with for some reason.
Was there a lot of turnover among his staff? Like people coming and going?
A lot of the same people coming and going.
Like a revolving door?
Yes.
Did you have a sense of why people were coming back after they left?
Bubba can be very convincing. when he wants to be.
If I'm understanding, like, people would get upset, like leave. You know.
Someone would get upset and leave, or they would be fired, and then they would come make up and come back.
Was there ever any situations where Bubba was holding something over somebody to get them to come back?
He would tell people when they left they wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere else. No one would pay them, he would pay them, things like that.
Earlier we had mentioned Bubba on the radio talking about other radio personalities. Tell me just a bit about his relationship with folks who are his friends or his rivals in the radio personality world.
I would assume anyone who he competes against, he would consider a rival. It seems his friends in radio are people that he admires.
There's something like Howard Stern.
He admires Howard very much.
During the time that y'all were dating and married, would you say that he and Howard Stern were friends?
I think.
Are there any memories of Bubba and Howard Stern that stand out in your mind?
We attended Howard and Beth's wedding. We stayed at their house in the Hamptons.
Describe Bubba's relationship with Mike Calder.
I know that Mike Calta had worked for Bubba early in Mike's career. We had been in social situations with Mike and his wife Amanda. They were invited to our wedding. Sometimes Bubba was friendly with Mike, sometimes he was mad at him.
I understand now they're at loggerheads.
I think now they are competing against each other.
Today they're kind of rival radio hosts at this point.
Correct.
Do you think that's a real rivalry between them?
It's hard to say what's real and what's not.
What do you think?
I'm not personally involved with either one of them. It seems there are a lot of ups and downs publicly.
You mean as between the two of them?
Correct.
You had mentioned earlier that during Bubba's radio show, he talks about his personal life. When he talks about his life on the show, is he being truthful?
Sometimes.
But other times he's not.
Correct.
When you listen to his show, how could you tell if Bubba was being truthful?
I didn't know all of the time, unless I was personally involved in the situation he spoke about.
So even when you were married, you couldn't tell whether, or one way or another, whether he was being truthful on the air at times?
Most times, no.
When y'all were married, did Bubba ever discuss y'all's sex life on the air?
Yes.
Just in general terms, do you recall what he said?
I don't recall every occasion. I do remember some details, yes.
What kind of stuff?
Stories. Of me, what I did.
What you did when you were intimate with him,
Sometimes, yes.
and other times?
Maybe just general comments about our sex life.
Did he ever discuss on the air whether y'all had an open relationship?
Not that I recall.
Did you ever appear on the show?
Yes.
When you were on the show, did you talk about your relationship with Bubba?
Sometimes.
Did you ever discuss your sex life with Bubba on the air?
As it pertained to he and I think so.
Let me ask you a question. Why would y'all talk about your sex lives on the air?
He talked about everything. There was nothing off limits.
Did he ever say anything to indicate that he thought that y'all's sex life would be of interest to his listeners?
Not specifically.
Why did y'all ultimately get divorced?
I was not happy.
Was there any specific event that sparked the divorce?
It was a culmination of many things, not one specifically.
Were you ever separated from each other?
No,
So prior to the time of y'all actually getting divorced, you weren't ever separated?
no, we were not, but he did publicly say that we were.
Why didn't you say that?
I tried to divorce him at a time before our actual divorce was finalized. We reconciled.
Why did you try to divorce him the first time?
I wasn't happy.
And how long was it between the time that you tried to file divorce and then the actual divorce?
Maybe 6 months.
What caused you to reconcile?
He said he would work on the things that I was not happy with.
And then ultimately, it doesn't happen.
It did not.
Earlier, Charles had asked you about Mr. Boyer's relationship with Mr. Klein. They were best friends.
I thought so.
And Mr. Belay was the best man that y'all lived in.
Correct.
When you and Mr. Klein were married, how well did you know Mr. Belay?
to the extent that he was friends with Bubba.
What was he like when you were around him?
He was always respectful, kind.
Earlier, Charles had asked you some questions about cameras in the house that you and Bubba lived in. Were you aware that there were cameras in the house?
I had been told there were cameras outside the house. I was aware of a security camera inside the house.
Were you aware that there was a security camera inside the bedroom?
That's where it was.
When was that camera installed?
On or about the year that Julie and I moved in to the house.
Why was it installed?
Bubba had told me that his attorney said it might be a good idea to have a camera in case something ever happened.
Inside your bedroom?
Correct.
What was he concerned about?
I know he had valuables in a closet in his bedroom.
Do you know who installed the camera?
I'm pretty sure it was David Rice.
The David Rice who worked at Bubba's show?
Correct.
Did it concern you that somebody from the show was installing a camera in your bedroom?
Dave worked for Bubba. It just seemed to be the way it was.
Did anybody other than Dave Rice know that you had a camera inside your bedroom?
I don't know.
Do you know whether Bubba ever told anybody that there was a camera in your bedroom?
I'm not aware.
You're not aware one way or the other?
No.
Sorry,
I'm not aware if Bubba ever told anyone that there may have been a camera in our bedroom.
do you know who knew how to operate that camera?
Other than maybe Bubba, no.
And I take it from what you had indicated earlier in talking to Charles that you didn't know how to use the camera.
No.
Do you know whether the camera recorded 24 hours a day?
I don't know.
So you don't know whether somebody needed to actually start and stop the recording?
I don't know.
Do you know whether video that was being captured from the camera could be watched while it was recording?
I'm not aware.
Do you know whether the video that was captured from that camera was actually being recorded?
I don't know.
Earlier you talked about watching a disc of a sexual encounter involving you and Mr. Valea. Do you know how recording from the camera got onto a disc?
No.
Just in general, did you have any idea of how recordings from the camera could be taken and put onto a disc?
No.
Other than this recording, do you know of you and Mr. Valea, do you know of any other time the video from that security camera in the bedroom was saved?
Can you ask that question again, please?
Sorry. Other than the video recording that Charles was asking you about earlier, of you and Mr. Valea's sexual encounter, do you know of any other instance in which video that was recorded from the camera in your bedroom was put onto a disc?
I'm not aware.
When was the first time that you and Mr. Balea had a sexual encounter?
I think it was prior to or after the year that we were married, within a year of that.
Within a year of you and Bubba getting married?
Maybe after, I'm not sure the exact date.
Tell me what you remember about how you came to have the sexual encounter with Mr. Balea. I think you had mentioned that it was at his house. It wound up at his house. Did you know in advance that this was going to happen?
No,
Did Mr. Balea know in advance?
I don't know.
What was his reaction? Was he surprised?
I don't recall.
Was he reluctant?
I don't recall.
Do you recall any sign that he didn't want to do this?
I don't recall.
Is it true that Mr. Balea drove Bubba insane for years, saying they wanted to hook up with you?
I don't know.
Show you something that's already been marked as a deposition exhibit earlier in this case. What we've done is, as people are deposed in the case, documents and stuff are given certain numbers and marked as exhibits. And so this was previously marked as deposition exhibit 94, which is a clip from the Howard Stern show that was broadcast on October 9th, 2012. And I'll just show you it. Sorry, it's an audio clip, I apologize. We'll just play a short period of time from this exhibit. It's from 1940 to 20 in 7 seconds. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. For 2 years, Heather and Bob were saying how cool this was. Right? No problem. And I was saying to school, honestly, Heather was relentless. I want to see your thing. I want to do it. But I see her when I'd be on the phone, but she'd get the phone. And so, I feel like an idiot.
Is that an accurate account of what happened?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall ever saying to Mr. Balea, I want to see your thing, I want to ask you?
No, I do not.
Would you ever grab the phone when Bubba was talking to Mr. Balea and say those things?
No.
So what we've done is marked a DVD as deposition exhibit 106, and this is from a show on that was produced by Sirius Radio. It's called Sway in the Morning, and it was broadcast on October 10, 2012. And this is a video of an interview that Mr. Balea gave. Just for the record, the base number on this is Gawker 23420-029. And this is a segment from 5 minutes and 19 seconds into the interview to 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
At the end of the day, I did this. I wasn't on drugs. I made a choice. But the what was the story is, on a personal level, my wife was already screwed with my situation. I was at an all-time low. These two people that I pray to God are friends of mine, for 2 years they're going, hey, I want to get with you, I want to do this. And my boys went, yeah, so what's the story? She's not going to preach somewhere. No, it's him offering money. It's like, yeah.
That was weird the first time you offered you.
Well, I knew they partied. I knew they partied, and I heard stories, and his wife was gorgeous, and she kept saying, I want to get with you, I want to do this and that and the other stuff, and I want to have sex with you. And And I said, no, 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 no. So at the end of the day, I kind of fought him down, you know. I was with my boy, you know. We went back to the house, and when I was at all the time, I just said, oh, let's do this thing.
Did you ever say to Mr. Valea, I want to get with you, I want to do this and that and the other stuff, I want to have sex with you?
Not that I recall.
When Mr. Valea says that he knew that you and Bubba partied and he had heard stories, do you know what he meant by party?
I can't speculate what he knows and what he doesn't know.
Do you know what kind of stories he might have heard?
I do not know.
I'm going to ask you some questions now to follow up on some of the questions that Charles asked you earlier about the nature of your relationship with Mr. Clem. Did Mr. Clem generally pick who you had sex with?
On the occasion that I had sex with someone other than him, yes. Please.
Okay, for this question, I'm not asking you about anything relating to Mr. Valea. Were any of your sexual encounters with other men recorded during the time that you were married to Bubba?
Yes.
Before the press began reporting on the sex tape involving you and Mr. Valea, did other people know that there were recordings of you having sex with other men?
I don't know.
Was Mr. Clem aware of these recordings?
He may have been.
Did you ever see Mr. Clem watch the recordings?
No.
Did you ever tell anybody about the recordings?
No.
Do you know whether Mr. Clem told anybody about the recordings?
I don't know.
Is it possible that other people knew?
I don't know.
Is it possible that the recordings were shown to other people?
I don't know.
Is it possible that Mr. Clem showed the recordings to other people?
I don't know.
Where were these recordings kept?
Don't know. I'm not sure.
Were the recordings saved on disc?
I don't recall.
Do you know if they were kept secure?
I don't know.
Do you know whether Bubba ever took recordings of you to the radio station?
I don't know.
Do you know if the recordings of you were ever taken anywhere?
I don't know.
Earlier, in response to some of Charles's questions about the divorce, he talked about personal items. Were those personal items in part these recordings?
It involved personal items from our marriage, photographs. I don't know to what extent.
So, you have no idea what happened to these recordings?
No.
Do you know whether Mr. Valea ever watched any of the recordings of you having sex with other men?
I don't know.
Do you know whether he was aware of the fact that you were recorded having sex with other men?
I don't know.
Do you recall whether you and Mr. Valea ever had a sexual encounter at Bubba's radio station?
Yes,
Did you?
and encounter.
Relative to in time to the other three encounters that you had talked about with Charles earlier when he was out.
I don't know in what order.
Was anybody else at the radio station?
Bubba.
Were there any other encounters, any other sexual encounters with Mr. Balea other than the radio station, the one in Nashville, the one at Mr. Balea's house, and the one you had mentioned at your house?
Not that I recall.
Did these encounters occur over a span of weeks, months, years?
I don't know.
Did Mr. Balea ever seem to be troubled by having sex with you? Like emotional trouble?
Can you be more specific?
Did it ever seem like something that he was struggling with internally that bothered you in some way?
I don't know.
Why did the sexual encounters between y'all stop?
I don't know.
I apologize if Charles asked this, I'm not sure if he did, but do you know whether Bubba and Mr. Balea ever watched any of the recording of y'all having sex?
I don't know.
What did you think would happen to the recording of you and Mr. Balea having sex after you watched it?
I don't know.
At that time, what did you think would happen after you stopped watching?
I did not want to see it again.
When was the first time that you learned that a tape of you and Mr. Balea was being shopped around?
I think in the email that I was sent about April of whatever year that's on the email, that was how the email was written, with those words shopping around.
Let me show you this document. It's previously was marked as Deposition Exhibit 61. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Is this the email that you were mentioning before?
Yes.
Prior to receiving this email, had you talked to Bubba at all about the tape involving you and Mr. Balea?
No.
Why did you think that Bubba sent you this email?
Because it says it's from Bubba.
And why do you think that he sent it to you?
I don't know.
At the time, what did you think was the reason that he sent it to you?
I think he was trying to ask me a question.
Which question?
If you have any idea who's behind this, please express to them releasing this as criminal material prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Did you view this email as a threat?
I was confused. Why?
Why were you confused?
Because he asked me if I knew anything about it. That's what I assumed from this. And that the Florida State Attorney General was involved, but I wasn't given any information as to who to contact.
And you had mentioned earlier that after receiving this email, you had sent a response to Mr. Klein?
Yes.
I'll show you a document that was previously marked as Deposition Exhibit 62. Is this the response that you sent?
Yes.
Why did you say that you would contact the State Attorney General?
Because I would.
And so at that point, you were happy to cooperate in any investigation. But Bubba didn't respond to this email, did he?
No.
Why do you think that he didn't respond?
I don't know.
How did you interpret it at the time that he wasn't responding to you?
I was confused.
In what way?
Again, that I asked to whom I should speak to, but I was never given the information regarding that.
And if I understood what you said earlier to Charles, after you sent this email, you had no other contact with Bubba about this tape?
No.
Why did you send this to Tom Bean?
Because I correspond with any time Bubba sends me an email, I CC typically Tom Bean and I forget his name, an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
This also had to do with the 2012 IRA payment.
And Mr. Bean dealt with his personal affairs?
Correct.
And who is Steve Thacker?
My attorney, my divorce attorney.
And what's the reference here to track dog?
Bubba had sent me a picture of my dog Bianca in an email prior to or with this.
Do you think he sent that for a reason?
Sure, your name is Elvis, sir?
Was this an example of what you were talking about him being manipulative?
Probably.
What do you think he was trying to manipulate you for in this instance?
I don't communicate with him unless I absolutely have to. Maybe it was a way of trying to get him to respond.
With respect to this stuff with the video?
Or anything.
Did you ever hear from Mr. Houston?
No.
So until coming here today, you didn't have any contact with Mr. Houston?
No.
Did you ever hear anything from the Florida State Attorney General?
No.
At this point in time, did you think that Bubba might have something to do with releasing the tape?
I was concerned.
About the possibility that he had something to do with it?
I was concerned in general.
What about him in particular?
I don't recall.
Do you think that Bubba would ever try to profit off the tape?
I don't have an opinion to that one way or the other.
Were you concerned at the time of these emails that he would try and profit off the tape?
I was concerned with my personal life being publicly exposed.
Did you have any contact with a website called The Dirty that had published images from the tape?
No.
Did you have any contact with Vivid Entertainment or any other company that was interested in distributing a tape involving you and Mr. Valena?
No.
Did anyone ever approach you about buying a tape of you and Mr. Valena having sex?
No.
Did anybody ever contact you or somebody, I can never have a lawyer, to ask for payment so that they would not distribute a tape of you having sex with Mr. Valena?
No.
Ms. Holt, when Gawker posted the article and excerpts, at that time, who did you think provided the tape to Gawker?
I didn't know.
You had no idea?
No.
Did you have any suspicions?
Not specifically.
After Gawker posted the excerpts, did you have any contact with Mr. Valena?
No.
After Gawker posted the excerpts from the video, did any attorney for Bubba Clem get in touch with you?
Yes.
Who was that?
Stephen Gawker.
What did he say?
Said he was my friend and he would like to help me.
When was that?
Sometime. When all of this became public.
Was it was after Gawker's posting?
I believe so.
Was it after Mr. Blatt had filed a lawsuit or before?
Can you be more specific as to which lawsuit? This one here?
Yes.
It was before.
And did Mr. Gawker say anything else to you?
That he was my friend, that this was horrible, and that he wanted to help Bella and myself.
And how did you respond?
I told him not to call me anymore.
Why is that?
I didn't trust him.
Why didn't you trust him?
He's not my friend.
Why do you say that he's not your friend?
I don't believe that he's a trustworthy person.
Is there any specific instances that made you doubt his trustworthiness?
I didn't have a good feeling about it.
Was there anything that he had done or said to you previously that made you not have a good feeling?
Not specifically.
Had he been Bubba's lawyer prior to that time?
He was a friend of ours.
Had he been Bubba's attorney?
I think maybe so. On some case, I don't remember.
Why did you think that he was getting in touch with you?
Well, I didn't think it was because he had my best interest at hand.
What do you think he was, at the time, what did you think he was trying to do?
Potentially manipulate me or encourage me to do something that I may not have wanted to do.
Anything in particular?
After I divorced Mr. Clem, I severed all my ties with pretty much anyone that had anything to do with him. I did not want to revisit that tie again. That's why I told Mr. Diablo to not contact me anymore.
Did he contact you anymore?
He may have sent me an email.
Do you recall what that email said?
The same thing that the telephone conversation said.
Did you respond?
I forwarded the information to the hackers.
But you never responded?
No.
Did you ever hear from him again?
No.
Was Mr. Gawker getting in touch with, when Mr. Gawker got in touch with you, did that raise any concern in your mind about whether Mr. Clem had anything to do with releasing the tape?
It made me uncomfortable because I did not want to have any involvement with Mr. Clem either.
I guess did it make you think that he had any involvement with the release of the tape?
I don't know.
After the Gawker posting, did you see any of the press coverage about Mr. Balea? Did you see Mr. Balea in the press talking about the video after Gawker posted it?
No.
You didn't see him at all?
I tried not to pay attention to it.
Were you aware that he was talking in the media about the tape?
I was aware that he was heavily involved in the media at the time.
And what was your reaction?
I felt more embarrassed.
Why was that?
Because I didn't want this to be anything I wanted it to go away.
Were you surprised that he was talking about it so much?
I didn't like it. I didn't like any involvement or anything to do with it.
Did you think, when he was in the media talking about it, that he was devastated about the tape being broadcast or posted?
I thought that I didn't have anything to say about it. And I was very hurt, and I felt, or I wished that the other people involved would behave the same way.
In your experience, is Mr. Balea somebody who likes publicity?
In my opinion, yes.
Are there any specific instances that stand out in your mind that give rise to that opinion?
What he does for a living. Clearly, if you're in entertainment, you are aware of and want publicity.
Is there any instance that you're aware that he is specifically sought out in publicity in a circumstance that surprised you?
Not specifically.
Are there any statements that you've heard or read that he had made in the press about the tapes that stand out in your mind?
Yes.
What was that?
What you have discussed and what I heard on that audio clip that I don't know the exact word, but constantly called and harassed and wanted to have sex with him.
And why does that stand out in your mind?
Because I didn't do that.
Earlier, when Charles was asking questions, you said that sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what's fake with Bubba.
Correct.
Does that extend to his life off the radio as well?
Yes.
How so?
One day, he can tell you how wonderful you are, and how much he loves you, and how much you mean to him. And the next day, he can completely ignore you berate you because there are no eggs in the refrigerator. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes to his over-exaggerated behavior.
Do you recall Bubba Clem communicating to Carrie Balea to say this should be set up?
I do not.
Maybe just a bit of more.
Earlier, when Charles was asking questions, whole situation was a stunt by Mr. Clem?
I don't know.
Did you ever think that it was a stunt by Mr. Balea?
I don't know.
And you don't know one way or another whether either of them were involved in the release or distribution of the tape?
I do not know.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I was checking with them on scheduling issues just before I let you take a little bit of a break. So we're going to go ahead and release you for the day. We have some other things. So I'm going to ask so you can take your break for the whole evening. Remember to follow the rules, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. All right? Thank you all so very much.